For July the 23rd, 2021, we talk about Mundaun, SNKRX, and we ask you about your favorite double jumps in games. Welcome to level 378. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Jala.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Hey, I'm real sorry that we missed those 2 weeks.
It's all good.
Vacay, man. Vacay.
Yeah. we had the one. The 1 week it was like, oh, it's
Freedom Day.
Yeah, technically like July 4th week, so you know it just makes sense to take that off so everybody can relax. And then the next week I had a family thing pop up, so it just couldn't happen. I feel real bad for leaving y'all in the lurch. Not like, bad enough to like never do it again if that same stuff came up, but I mean not bad enough to really flagellate myself over it. But
if you didn't do it again, if the same stuff came up, I would be mad at you.
Indeed.
Right.
Family first, man. It's all good.
Yeah. So we're back, and it feels good. Feels good to be back. It's fun to record. I honestly having kind of a bummer of a day, not for any like huge reason, but just like little stuff was annoying me. But I noticed this earlier when I was recording too. Recording makes me feel better. So here we are. It's fun just to get to be present here. Yeah, I've lost track of who has been away the longest.
I think we were all here the last time.
This was all us.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was us the last time.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, so I'll lead anyway. I don't have much going on. I got my offices set up, which is nice.
I know. They're so snazzy and colorful.
Yeah.
I saw one was Shining themed.
Yeah.
Does that not just like pique your anxiety every time you go into that room?
And no, because it's a cool.
It's comforting to Kole.
Oh no.
No, it's a cool design is the thing, even apart from the Shining connection. No, so the room where I stream and where my like Windows computer is and where VR and workout stuff is. It's a multi-purpose room. I have the walls painted red, and I was thinking, okay, I pulled the red from the Abject Suffering logo, and I was like, okay, you'll do like brand colors, right? And the other prominent color in the Abject Suffering logo is like a gold. And the thing is, you can't get like yellow blackout curtains and hang them up on a red wall without making it look like your room is ketchup and mustard themed.
But to thank our sponsors, McDonald's.
we're loving it.
I heard you die inside just saying that as a dude.
A+ delivery. Yeah.
Oh fuck. So I was like, all right, let's go back to the drawing board. I need a warm color. I need warm color curtains to go with this. It's tough to match with such a bold color, and I was like, the carpet from The Shining. When Danny's riding the tricycle down there, I wonder if they make curtains in that pattern. And there was a print-on-demand site where somebody had put that design up. I paid honestly more than I would have wanted to for curtains to have it. But the thing is, I have to look at them every day. So they're nice. It's good. They make me happy to see the Shining themed curtains. It's like a nice retro hexagonal pattern. It's good. I am really happy with the way all of my offices turned out. But like that pièce de résistance was especially satisfying, and I'm real happy that people immediately, when I posted photos of it, immediately keyed in on that design.
Unrelated question. Do you have an axe at your house?
An axe? No, I have access to an axe. I've got a machete.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. No. I have a maul that you would use with like a wedge if you were going to be splitting a log, but I don't have an axe.
How do you spell maul? Like M-A-W?
Yeah. Or no. M-A-U-L.
M-A-U-L.
Like the Darth.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah, like it's like a big hammer kind of thing.
Okay.
Which in the Shining book, it's it's like a croquet mallet that he uses instead of an axe. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Huh.
It's a game that's related to croquet called Roke, but it's the same. It's basically the same kind of mallet that he uses to
It's
bash
basically
people
the
in.
same mallet, just a little more pretentious.
I've
Yeah.
learned more in this podcast so far than like most of our podcasts the entire episode. So,
Yeah.
so
So
So here's my question, Cole. Does that room have any windows that face east?
you got me all confused. No, I've got a window that faces west and a window that faces. I'm looking west, south. I think.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, you might get some of this in the evenings then. My brother had a room with red walls growing up. I think it was like Buckeye State colors or something like that. The windows faced east. And in the morning, I would be up before he was and walking past his room. It was just like glowing under the door, like Satan himself was in there.
Yeah.
And some days that wasn't far off of true. But the ambiance going past that room with the door closed might be very interesting for you in the evenings.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. That's been a couple months project, and I am happy that it is done. So I have my room together, and that's all I got. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I had some fun. I guess this was 2 weeks ago at this point, but we went to the Cincinnati Water Lantern Festival. And this is something they do, I think, in a bunch of different cities. It's like an organization, but it's basically a big picnic in the park, and it's always near some body of water. In this case, the Mirror Lake in Eden Park.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
it's a
running
great
track
little
around it.
spot.
Yeah.
And it was perfect weather. You go out, you sit on a blanket, have a picnic dinner, listen to some live music. Everyone there gets a lantern kit. Where you can like decorate and draw on the paper sides, and you put a candle in the middle and they float, and everyone goes around the lake and launches them at the same time. It's this big, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And before that, they invite people up to like share their story, or like, what's your lantern about? And that's usually one of the coolest parts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids talking and stuff, but then you'll get people sharing, a lantern commemorating a loved one, or some getting through a really hard year, and just certainly, everyone can relate to that this past year. And then the last kid to get up, I'm going to say was probably about 12, 13, old enough to know better, we'll say.
I like where the story's going.
Yeah, we're gonna hear about a kid who rules.
It's like, I'm going to make up a name, like, hey everyone, my name is Johnny Shorts, and I put some of my favorite memes on my lantern.
Oh,
so this is
no.
the Creeper Shuffle, and this is Where's the Pickaxe. And I do Minecraft content on YouTube at Johnny Shorts.
Oh no!
YouTube.com.
Oh.
I love you guys to come check out my videos and subscribe. Thank you very
Hell
much.
yeah.
That piece of garbage. No, did they let that be the last one?
That was the very last. The lady's like, okay, thank you everyone for sharing your stories.
That's awesome.
Launch the lanterns and
launch the
that kid
mean
into the
lantern.
sun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This kid's got content.
he's got content for days and probably gained at least 2 subscribers.
12 followers. Yeah.
So doubled his following. So that was it's always a wonderful little event, and that just put a little something to remember it by. Gave it that COVID twist.
Yeah.
So apropos was the first one back.
Wow.
The most dangerous dance ever.
I was gonna say, it's like what a lovely community. Just the communal spirit there must have been amazing, and then the social media, the self promotion,
All over it.
who stopped teaching these kids shame?
Yeah.
I mean, like not like a whole lot, but like enough. There's a happy medium. Man.
Conviction.
Yes.
There we go.
Well, Thank you for sharing that story. That is simultaneous. We were talking in the green room. You said, "Oh, I've got some stuff that is that is both fun and horrifying." that as promised.
Qualifies.
It's not that horrifying, right? I don't know.
Yes,
It's just I empathize. It's hard to get followers if you're Twitch streaming.
It is. It's a grind.
You gotta think of ways, unorthodox ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's you gotta be. If you're not grinding, you're dying.
Respect the hustle. Hashtag. You can't even.
Oh God. Right.
Yeah, it is going to be a wonderful episode or a performance at Mortified when this kid is older.
Yeah. Yeah.
And can share that experience.
Very nice. Jala, how about you?
Okay, so something also funny and horrifying that happened to me since the last time we recorded. Okay, it has been raining a lot here in Texas, and this means that my garden is growing like crazy, which, okay, that's cool. That just means I live in a small jungle. Neat. But that means that my pepper plants have grown quite a bit. And I have one jalapeno plant and one serrano plant.
Okay.
And I took all the serranos off the plant and took all the jalapenos off the plant. And then I was getting ready to chop. I chopped them all up to go cook for the weekend, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love a serrano. Yeah.
Well, the serranos were okay. Like, they were a little bit spicy because they were in a pot next to the jalapenos, so they picked up some of the spiciness. But like the jalapenos, guys, like, they were death jalapenos, and like a normal ass jalapeno.
Is that because it was young?
When you cut a normal jalapeno,
Okay.
your hands are fine, except like don't rub your eyes. You know,
Yeah,
that
wash
kind of
your.
thing,
Don't
right?
take out your contacts. Yeah.
Yes. Well, these jalapenos burned my skin for 12 hours straight, and I had to have ice packs on them.
Oh,
I had to go
no.
to sleep with ice packs on my hands because it was that bad. It's like unexpected 80,000 Scobles, death jalapenos. I'm like, these were like, this was a jalapeno plant that I bought, an established plant that I bought from like a Lowe's. It's just like from a hardware store.
You rescued that plant.
What in the hell? So I don't know why, but they were extremely hot. And so if you're wondering what I did with all of these extremely hot jalapenos, I pickled them.
Okay.
And they taste great on Beyond Burgers.
Right.
Ooh,
But
nice.
because the Beyond Burger, like, it's kind of heavy duty enough to kind of offset the heat from the jalapeno.
Yeah.
But like, oh my God, I cannot touch it with my finger. Like it burned. My hands felt like they were on fire for 12 hours. It was after midnight before my hands stopped burning.
Oh wow.
Jeez.
I had to get up because my hands, I woke up and I had to go to the bathroom, and then I was like, oh, they're finally not burning. I can set down the ice packs and put them back in the freezer now.
Wow.
It was a nightmare trying to take a shower with burning hands.
It's
like if somebody actually cast like the D&D spell Burning Hands, but like it actually burned your hand. Like, yeah, it was bad.
I mean, so like, did it spread from where you picked it up? Like, is it just
from the original fingers to other fingertips? Yes.
Right,
so like
right.
basically all of my fingertips were burning.
So what you were dealing with was like just anywhere the oil touched while it was still, before you would wash it off, was just it had just sunk in and was wow.
Yes, it was bad. Like, and like we were Googling. Okay, like I was not Googling because I could not touch shit, but Dave was Googling to see what are some things to like calm it down. Well, okay, they say rubbing alcohol kind of gets some of it off. Baking soda, use straight up dish soap. I did all of that, and that didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It was like the worst. It was like, no, I just have to wait for it to not burn anymore. That's great. Oh, and then at one point or another, I was like, maybe if I put because I was desperate, I was like, maybe if I put biofreeze on my fingers, that'll calm it down,
or
like offset it, right?
Yeah.
No, then it just felt like I had burning and cold at the same time.
Right.
Terrible. So that was my story about the death jalapenos. And like I told my sister about it, and she likes really, really hot things. And so she's intrigued. And so I was like, well, I have some seeds. I can send them to you. And then next summer you can grow your own death jalapenos up there. And she's like, that sounds great. I'm like, okay. But yeah, the next time I handle those, like off, cutting them off of the plant and then like getting them cut and everything, I'm going to be wearing some gloves.
Yeah.
Because there's
Wise choice.
like I did not realize they were going to be that hot and be burning my hands.
Right.
Like, not what you think is going to happen with like a regular jalapeno.
Yeah,
So,
you've handled jalapenos before.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. Yeah, like it's not. Yeah. Anyway,
I
so that was my horrible funny story because it was funny. But it was also terrible. So
right. Did you realize while it was happening that it would be funny later? And was that a comfort to you?
No.
Okay.
Like I was not entertained at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Although like after I just like was like, well, I guess I'm gonna be walking around with these ice packs on my hands. That's neat.
Yeah.
Like then I started laughing about it, but like it was way after because I had to cook and stuff too.
Yeah.
And can you imagine being around the hot stove and everything with like burning hands? Yeah, it was the worst. It was the worst. So
Yuck.
yeah.
I just can't.
Well, I do have a nice fun thing to talk about though.
Okay.
That's just only fun and maybe not horrible. Like not horrible as in a bad thing, but horrifying maybe, possibly.
Okay.
So my birthday is coming up. That's not the horrifying thing. I've survived another year. Hooray. Please, all them companies, I am happy to receive all of the birthday coupons and freebies. Please mail them to me.
Of course.
Anyway.
We probably won't get Social Security, so you should get that at least.
But anyway, like I roped all of you guys from the level, all of the level hosts into doing a tabletop RPG with me on this coming Saturday, July 24th at 1 p.m. Central. I'm giving all these details because it's going to be streamed on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Jalachan. And our game master for the day is Adam Buccetti. Oh, although, sorry. Buccetti. Okay, I had to do it with like the fingers together. I told him that like I could not say his name without actually putting my finger. And I actually recorded a video of myself and sent it to him. But anyway,
yeah, he's going to be the creator of Enter the Survival Horror. Just if people don't recognize the name. Yeah.
Enter the Survival Horror, and the one that we are going to be playing is another of the games that he has created called Harrowing. And it is going to be a one-shot, should be really fun, diceless, so, not super, super complex, but should be interesting. And Harrowing is about people who are having a bad day, a very, very bad day. And this one's in space, so you can just imagine how much fun that'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to be also doing some other random things this coming weekend and the weekend after because my birthday falls on a dumb day of the week. It's like a Tuesday. So I'm between that and like money being tight and COVID, like I'm just not going anywhere. So instead I'm just gonna be hanging out on the internet and like variously stuff that we're co-oping over the weekends and stuff will be popping up on my stream. So like if you are subscribed to notifications on Twitch, don't be surprised if it's just like blipping on and off the whole couple of weeks. So
nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited. This will be one of the few times that all 5 co-hosts are in the same place and time.
I know. At the same place at the same time doing a thing. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Normally we try and it's like it's like a designated survivor kind of thing. One of us has to.
Any predictions who's going to die first in the one-off?
I bet I'll die first, just because no, it's not like an awe thing. Like I tend to be one of two things. Either I will play a game exactly the way that I am, which means that I will be like, super cautious about it, like as if I were in it, right? Like I'm not going to be doing the dumb, let me jump out there, or I'm just going to be out there and be like, hey,
fight that dragon.
What's up? I think we need to go over here, guys. It looks suspicious. So like I'm betting I'll probably lean more towards the latter than the former, so there is a high chance that I will find the monster first.
Prediction.
It happens all the time in co-op.
I have a prediction that Kole is going to sacrifice himself for the greater good of the group at some point.
Oh,
Hey, remember when we were playing Phasmophobia? I was the first one to die.
Oh.
Remember?
That's correct.
I found the monster first, guys.
I also remember that took forever to find that ghost too.
I know.
we didn't know if it was bugged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice. And Ben, how about you?
I got a tiny thing to talk about. I did some traveling over the past 2 weeks. I went down to Florida and visited one of my friends from high school there, who's getting married next month.
Oh.
Yeah, and I got to spend part of the week out in the Florida Keys where he works. And
Okay.
so it's this place called Marathon, Florida, which is like, I'd never been to the Keys or heard about it before, but it's basically just like a long highway that's kind of like a strip mall in places.
Mhm.
And that's it. It's like loosely connected things of land and bridges. But it was a lot of fun. I was able to work remotely from there. The internet went out for half a day in like all of that part of Florida for some reason, because whatever.
Yeah.
But the culture down there is like super interesting for fun. Everybody just goes drinking on boats with friends or goes fishing or kayaking. Me and my buddy, like every day after work, we would go kayaking and like have a beer on the ocean. So that was really sweet. Very different from Seattle life of like walking uphill in the rain after you get done with work. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like oppressively hot, because like I would not want to be in Florida in July, but maybe the Keys are different.
It was normal, oppressive, hot,
Gotcha.
not unexpected.
Normal oppressive hot. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. It's all about context. It's fine when you're there. If you have the same temperature like here, then it's not okay. So
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's fun. I mean, I imagine we all have lots of games to talk about, so I think we ought to get rolling with a regular kind of show. What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
The grind.
The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the last period of time or so. Because all of us were here last time, I'm just going to go in the opposite order that we did last episode. So Ben, what have you been playing?
Oh snap! All right, I just got a few small ones, so I don't think I'll take too much time up.
Okay.
But all right, first small one. And I guess I remembered this because we just mentioned it. But I played Phasmophobia a few times in the past few weeks.
Okay.
Really?
They had a minor update to the game. They added a new map that's like a residential house type map, and they added, I think, 2 or 3 new ghosts that they didn't have before. And then they added new objectives that you can do during the course of a level. So the ghosts aren't terribly interesting. I think one of them's like attracted to warm places. They kind of reconfigured the thermometer and like how temperature works in houses.
Okay.
So previously it was like pretty obvious which room was the ghost room, because that would be like single digits or negative degree temperatures. But now it's like a lot more difficult. Like there's a lot of places like around the house that'll like bop down to the low teens, but not actually be the ghost room. Then there's like it seems like they added more events too. Like car alarms going off. Like I know that they've done that before, but it seems like these sorts of things come up more often. Piano playing, knocking at the front door sort of things. So that's been cool. The new objectives are kind of interesting. There's like get a ghost to blow out a candle. There's prevent like a ghost from hunting you with the smudge sticks, which I didn't know you could do. So just like a few updates like that are kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of weird being in the age that we are, where it's like we're playing a game that's in early access and isn't quote unquote done. So I don't know. Incremental updates kind of cool, but I don't know.
I will have you know that I popped into Phasmophobia with some other folks to try to play it with them, and I couldn't remember what to do at all. Like I was in, how do I play this game? Well, we played it successfully somehow, and Ben,
it's a complicated
come
game.
over here and tell me what to do. I don't remember.
Yeah,
No, you never learned because you were the first to die.
That's right. That's right. I had nothing to do because that ghost done killed me first.
The controls are also like not the most intuitive, where it's like they just go along the center row where it's like F, then G, then H, like does different things, and then J.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it's fine. I don't know. And so it's a small update. So if you haven't played in a while, there's a little bit more content there if you're interested in playing that. But yeah, I feel like I should probably just like stop playing this and then play it again in like 2 years when there's hopefully like more substantial changes made to it. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. There's one other tiny game I've been playing, and I've only played this for like maybe under an hour. It's a game called Helltaker, which is a free game on Steam. And I saw it because I was just looking for highly rated games that came out recently. It's like a Sokoban game. So like, and that's like where you have a character on like a tile grid, like Steven Sausage Roll.
Yeah, the boulder push game that used to be on cell phones back in the day.
Yeah.
What was the name of this again?
This is called Helltaker. It most closely resembles that dog game, which I can try and look up the name of, Fidel Dungeon Rescue, if anyone remembers that game that was a tiny game like from a couple of years ago. It very much resembles that. The theme is like this is the part that's like weird, is like I'm not quite on board with the theme of the game, but you are a character going to hell to collect all the like female demons. And so it's not an explicitly horny game, but it's like standing at the cliff's edge for that sort of thing.
Yeah, the thing that's saving it is kind of actually a pretty nice art style. It's like a cutesy art style. Yeah.
But it's like on the edge. Like I feel like it could tip in that direction very easily, and it'd be like, all right, I'm out. So that's like, it's a very like weak recommendation. I don't even know if I haven't played enough to like recommend it or say one thing or another. Some of the puzzles are good. I've only played maybe the first like dozen puzzles, and some of them are already kind of difficult. One of the things that they do that's interesting is they give you a cap on the number of moves that you can make, and that's like the explicit solution of the puzzle. So you can a mechanics thing that's a little bit of a flaw is you can't undo. You can only reset the puzzle, but this is a free game, so it's like kind of hard to like cast that much shade on it.
Right.
But it's interesting that because it's like a cap number of moves, it kind of limits the amount of experimentation you can do. It's kind of like you need to think it through once ahead of time and then execute it. You can't like play around with different options.
Is there undo, like the where you can get your move back? Okay. Yeah,
there's no Z button. It's only a R restart button.
Yeah.
But again, it's like hard to criticize this game since it's free. It's similar to Fidel though. It's like you have like I should go back and explain. The one thing that's interesting is the move is also like your health as well. So the way they phrase it is like if you get hurt, you like lose patience, and that's like turns on your like the move meter that you have. And so once that drops to 0, you like have to restart the level. So they kind of combine like the number of moves you can make with your health, like if you get attacked or go on a trap or something like that. And so you're trying to find like an ideal path through it. So it's kind of like an interesting take on a Sokoban game. Like I'm not sure if it's like a positive or negative change, but the fact that it's like forcing you to find the perfect solution is kind of interesting. That's not something that's typical in those games. Yeah. And then the other interesting mechanic that they have is you can skip any puzzle at any time. If you're just like, I don't want to deal with this, you can just skip it, which is interesting. Like on the one hand, I think that could be good. Usually I think a lot of games try and mitigate this in other ways, like Baba's You, like where it's like you have a path of different puzzles that you can go on to try and go to the next world. Like you're not confined of like you have to solve this puzzle or you're stuck. So this is the way that they're doing it, is just having like a skip button, which is kind of a simple solution, but I guess that's better than the alternative of someone getting like hard stuck on a level.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't have much to say about the game other than that. Just a tiny thing that I picked up recently. time to move on to the big game, the big $2.99 game that I've been playing for the last month.
Oh, SNKRX, yeah.
Yeah, I've still been playing that. I figured this is a good transition to Dennis because we have our Snake Doctor support group going on.
We're gonna beef.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna beef. We've been sending one another our builds that we've like won with.
I should clarify. I'm gonna beef at the game, and I hope you.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine as long as we don't have beef. I'm still enjoying it. So I think I sent you one of the ones that I got last night. I had a Psyker Mage build, I think. So it was like just giant ring of death around me, and I killed the boss quicker than I'd ever done before, just because I had a bunch of the Psykers like have these like orbiting things that go around you, and the more of that class you have, the more things that orbit, and you can get perks to upgrade them, like their velocity increases, or some spawns after a few seconds, or there's just more of them. So that like it was like the Gravity. It was like watching the movie Gravity, where that stuff just like shredded up all the enemies that were in the orbits. So that's pretty awesome. But I was happy with that build. And the cool thing that I've noticed is each time you beat the game, you can go to a new game plus mode. I think it caps out at 5, but I might be wrong on that. But each time you play the more difficult version of the game, you also unlock a new position. So I think the train is like 11 people long now instead of like the initial 6 or 7. So that's really cool because it opens up new combinations that you couldn't do before, where it's like, okay, I can spec with these 3 different class types and have like a full party of all of them and see how the combination works together. So that part seems really cool. But yeah,
I think that. So yeah, New Game Plus is where my beef lies. But I'm going to start out by praising it.
Okay.
I think it was a really good design choice to have the number of available slots go up as the game gets harder versus down. Because I think your first impulse is, well, why don't you start with more slots so it's easier, and then the number of slots you have go down because like essentially the number of people on your team goes down, and wouldn't that make it harder? But yeah, what I've realized after playing it is I like the multi-slot setup a lot better because you're still playing with the same amount of money. And so what's happening is you're getting more options for builds and combos and kind of synergies between the classes. However, you have to spread your money out over more positions. Which
sounds
is
like
just
a job for a mercenary.
Yeah, exactly. which includes for me right now the type of unit that creates more money is like a must take. Like I don't think I've ever seen it and not taken it, especially in the early game.
Even the 2-level one or the 2-cost one that just puts out the landing missiles.
Not that one. Not that one. We don't talk about that one.
The black sheep of the mercenary family.
Yeah, it feels like each class has one that is just completely useless.
BT Dubs, I like how insular this conversation has already become, where it's just me and Dennis and pure quietness.
Welcome to SNKRX, the Snake Podcast. So my beef is you get to the end of the game, you get the option to go to New Game Plus, which makes it harder, adds a position, yada yada. They also, I talked last time about how they're actively updating this, and so you'll open up and be like, oh, there's new classes or there's new artifacts that you can get, etc. Well, they added an endless mode, so you beat the game, and then you can go again and just keep on going as long as you are able with more and more difficult enemies. So if you feel like you've got a build that kind of breaks the game, which you almost have to do to win, you can see just how far you can push that, which is a great idea. But if you take that option, you don't get to go into New Game Plus. And it is not clear at all that is the case. And so I finally got another win. I would have advanced to New Game Plus 4, but because I was curious and wanted to see this new endless mode thing, I clicked that instead. Didn't realize I was boxing myself out of New Game Plus 4, and now have to do New Game Plus 3 again. So that just feels like it was needlessly unclear. And I don't know any reason why, if someone chooses to go kind of the extra 9 rounds on one difficulty, they should be boxed out of still progressing to the next.
Yeah, I'm looking back at the screen where it says like new game +4 if you choose a new run, and it just says loop if you do continue run. So I'm not sure what that means. Like, yeah, you just have to play another 25 levels, or
Yeah, another 25. You do get +1 space, but it's just I guess it's like an immediate jump up to new game +4, but keep everything you had, and it's uber difficult.
maybe
The
it's
problem
like
is that it doesn't let you keep your progress. So
yeah, maybe it's like a double or nothing where it's like you'll start the game with this awesome ass like train that you've already built, so that might make it easier, but like, and maybe you get 2 levels if you beat, when you loop, but
I don't know.
That's definitely not clear though.
If it does cap out at 5, like you're describing, then I would definitely have opted to just go new game plus until I was there.
Yeah,
And then I'd do the loop. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it continually as well.
yeah.
I saw that this was put out on iPad, and I downloaded it, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it because it didn't tutorialize. And I was like, it just might not be for me. So then I put it away.
I thought this game would be perfect for Switch if they ported it over to that. Like that's like the right time to play it. I think it's like a good like on the go sort of game that you could play for half an hour if you're like sitting on a bus or a train or something.
Yeah,
agree. Oh, it's also completely unclear that you can exit the game and it will save your progress. There's no save button. There's no indicator that you when you load back up. You just have to decide at one point. It's short enough in that range where like Returnal did, like, oh no, you can't save your game. You gotta keep it going. And so you just got to get to a point where you're like, all right, I need to quit in the middle of this and be okay with losing it. And then you open the game back up and you're like, oh, well, that's nice. It's still here.
I don't like, similar to like me being okay with the previous game. Like with this one, it's like I cut it slack because it's like this was made in 3 months, and so it's like I'm not, and it's $2.99, so it's like if not all the bells and whistles are there, that's okay. Like for me at least, but
modest products can exist.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm still going to play it. I think I want to get to New Game +5 and see how it goes. There's a couple achievements that are interesting too. Like, there's like a couple achievements for trying to finish with only like 1 or 2 things in your party, which sounds pretty difficult. Yeah.
Can you go back down to like non-New Game Plus? I haven't seen any way to do that.
Yeah, you can actually. On the main menu, I think if you press like escape to go to that main menu overlay or whatever, you can do like New Game plus or minus, and it'll adjust the difficulty.
I wonder if that works going up if you chose loop.
You could check and see.
Dude, that would be nice.
all of your beef would be destroyed if that were the case.
Would? Oh no! Yes, it does. Yay! Okay.
Well, we lost
Dennis right now as we're recording. Are you playing it right now while we're recording?
I opened it. I have Steam on my computer.
Right. Okay.
Confirm. Okay. Beef.
Beef squashed. Yeah. Okay.
Beef squashed. Thank you. Yes, squashed.
All right. All right. While you have it open, I want to know like what classes have you beaten with like a full party of?
Oh no. How do I see that?
It's like Steam achievements if you go to there.
Oh, okay. I can go to that.
I'll say mine real quick while you look it up. So I've won with mercenaries, cursors.
Show me yours if you show me mine.
Yeah. Mercenaries, cursors, psychers, mages, and warriors, or whatever I won with. Warriors have been bread and butter.
Oh, interesting. Let's see. I've got cursors, voiders. So there's no way it's just cursors and voiders. That's all that's showing for me.
I thought you liked this game and played it. Come on.
I know.
Dude.
I didn't know I was a filthy casual.
I didn't say that.
It's because it's an achievement for full set, so you have to have like all 4, all 6, or something like that.
Right.
So,
no, I know I've done it with warriors because that was my first time, and I know I've done it with rangers because that was the 3rd time.
Okay.
And then the 2nd time was a bunch of voider stuff, but that shows up. Weird. Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'm getting denied my Chivos. Not okay.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing I kind of want to keep playing this for is like I want to try and win with like each of the classes like maxed out. But
yeah, and I would have said the psychers, the orb guys, would be the hardest thing to do just because the orbs are so useless. But apparently you can boost them
You
up.
can max them out if you get the perks for them. Like if you upgrade velocity, have one that spawns, and have one that gives you more. Like it can be like super deadly.
Yeah, so I learned early on that it's all about using your rerolls widely, and I kind of applied that to buying units, but I've gotten more and more liberal with rerolling my
Like
my
perks.
artifacts. Yeah, the perks.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting, like the money management aspect to it is a lot of fun.
Yeah. For me, it feels very similar to Magic, where it's like you have a bunch of randomness, and like you're trying to find the optimal path within all this randomness to try and like put something together. And so it's like, okay, I was trying to build towards this, but I got this really sweet artifact, so I might try and pivot and go this way and make something out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like that type of gameplay. So
It is good.
Nice.
All right. We'll talk more about it next podcast.
Texting constantly throughout the week.
Oh man. What else have you played besides SNKRX, Dennis?
Oh man. So not a ton new. I've been playing lots of Trackmania. That one's kind of perennially on.
Okay.
The big one is that I went back and finished Rime with my kids.
Oh, that's the platformer. Looks kind of like Eco. Yeah.
Looks a lot like Eco. Takes a lot of inspiration from that. Little kid with the red cape climbing around this kind of mysterious world, trying to find his way through it. And it is very, very opaque on exactly why you're doing what you're doing and that sort of thing. That is until the end, but we'll get to that. So the amount I played through wound up being about halfway before. And I came back and was still in the first area. And so it's the type of game where the first area being on the island where you can see into the tower is this big, long, involved series of puzzles all in the same map. And then the areas get kind of progressively smaller and you're going through them quicker as you get towards the end. So, the final 3 levels only took me as long as the first single level did.
Right.
Which is okay. Like this game is very clearly telling a story is generous, but very clearly kind of evoking something and kind of going at that pace made sense for it. And kind of the plot and the emotion, such as it was, escalated quickly as you get deeper into the game. That works really well. It's I mentioned very atmospheric. The art style is simplistic, but just very evocative, and there's not a wasted surface in the game. Like it all just looks and feels very cool without needing to be hyper realistic and detailed. So it really does feel like you're kind of puzzle platforming your way through a dream to some extent. And as you get towards the end of the game, it gets more and more dreamlike. And very interesting new mechanics are introduced in terms of like controlling these giant robot type things.
Okay.
It is really weird to look at. It's basically an eyeball with 2 legs, all made out of stone.
Sounds like something from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Actually, that is a great reference for both the art style and the feel of this thing. And it's just really interesting, playing with kids, the things that they key in on. Because it's very subtly implied like this, one of them wakes up and starts following you around, and it kind of feels like it's the last of its kind. Like there's a lot of ones that are defunct around. And you find ways to make more of them, which is very exciting, but then they wind up all kind of sacrificing themselves so you can move forward. And just the number of questions I was getting bounced my way.
Oops.
They'd be like, why do they have to do that? Can we find another way? What is they doing? Are they happy they're doing that? Are they not? Do they not want to be doing that? Like,
tell me, is this good or bad?
Yeah, exactly. And so the score in this game is great and it is very emotional, but it is definitely pulling on those feels as you're going through the later parts of the puzzle, or of the game. And that only accelerates. So again, it's very obtuse about exactly what's going on. you keep on having these dreams where you see a figure, you're in a boat with this larger figure, and that figure falls overboard. And you try to save him, you can. And then you keep on kind of coming back to that in different ways. And then the last time you see it, it's inverted. And you are the figure, being able to see it's an older man for the first time where it was only a shadow before. And the person getting knocked out of the boat is the child that you've been playing as this entire time.
Oh,
That accelerates very quickly to then, like, you basically realize, and again, spoilers, so, but you realize very quickly after that, like, it moves very quickly after that to realize, like, oh my God, this kid is traveling through some kind of like gateway into the afterlife. And kind of finish with him kind of taking the jump into the unknown abyss, the afterlife, the beyond, if you will. And then it comes around to see, there's room for interpretation, but basically see, like, this is all in the father's head as he's processing the death of his son.
oh, that's heavy.
Nice.
How
Let's have a kids theme on this game.
So yeah, at this point,
how'd the boys
I'm
feel?
crying, the kids.
Aw.
Oh,
It was, oh my, like an emotional gut punch, and like
Wow.
the way it unwinds is masterfully done. But like, you don't really understand what's going on. There wasn't any point where I was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this. It's like, what? We all kind of came to the realization together, and the last part is the father like working up the courage or resolve to go back into his son's room for the first time, and you see all these things that tie to things you've experienced in the game, and then you kind of release the piece of cape that you were able to save out the window, and he kind of comes to peace with it or whatever. It's beautiful, and I like, wow. We kind of all cuddled on the couch and just hung out and talked for a long time after that.
yeah.
That was like, it was probably not something I would have chosen to expose them to,
Right.
not because it was inappropriate in any way. It was just like lots of really big emotions.
Hey, I mean, that's gonna, to a certain extent, that's the rest of your day,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, really, like
Yeah.
it just we snuggled and hung out and talked, and like, again, the barrage of questions. Tell me if that was good or bad. Like the big one was like, why would they do that? Like, angry at the designers of the game.
Yeah.
Like, piercing right through it. It led to really interesting conversation on the idea of like, well, if someone has experienced something sad, sometimes making a game or doing a piece of art about it helps them feel better about it.
By making
And it
other people
also-
feel sad.
Yeah. So bring other people into your suffering. But it also creates like this is a safe space to look at those emotions and all this, stuff. So it was like, I'm glad I finished the game. It was a great game and heartily recommend it, even if you listened and got the turn. Like, it's worth playing. But yeah, I was not expecting that level of intense parenting to come out of this cutesy platformer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't feel like watching the umpteenth episode of Storybots. Let's play something.
Right.
So
Let's learn a little something about impermanence.
let's contemplate our own mortality, shall we?
Why not?
When is snack time again? Beautiful game, and one of those, another exclamation point on the sentence that video games are better than any other medium at provoking empathy.
Yeah.
Like, it is something that video games uniquely do well, conjure those feelings and allow you to really sit in someone else's situation. But I appreciated it. But yeah, so that was crazy. And that was Rime.
Nice.
Developed by Tequila Works, and I think it is a Spanish studio,
Okay.
something like that. I got to look up where they're from, but I'd be interested to see what else they've done.
Yeah.
They made Deadlight, which is like a 2D like platformer shooter game.
Oh, that's from way back.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember I'd played Rime a little bit. I'd sat in a long line for PAX South to go play that game a little bit. Like, I even got a little plushie of the little fox from that game.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter
it
of
was
fact,
great,
as like
great fox
as
game.
a thing, that I got for sitting in line to play the game a little bit. But yeah, nice to know that it had an impactful slash good question mark ending.
It was a well executed ending.
Yes, a well executed ending, even if you were not prepared for that particular rest of day experience.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, they did Guilt, which was the kind of pseudo horror game with the kids running around in a haunted school.
Okay.
Yeah.
That could describe a lot of horror games, actually.
That is fair.
that isn't
No. This is the one with the flashlights.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
that
yeah.
one, huh?
Okay.
You should have led with that.
Yeah. So that was Rime. Highly recommend. Just play it on a day where you're ready to deal with some emotions.
Yeah, process some grief by proxy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I also did. This is by proxy related to video games, but I started watching Mythic Quest. We got Apple TV on a free trial, and I've heard good things about Mythic Quest, which is a comedy about a video game studio.
Yeah, Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny. I think I've seen Danny Pudi, Abed from Community, and some of the promo stuff that I've seen. They're good people in that.
Yes, and first couple episodes are good. I think the second season is out. I'm starting from the first, obviously.
Right.
And not far in enough to render judgment, but I've enjoyed it. I always go into media about video games with my hackles up. Almost, it's like this is my thing, and so I'm so worried about being pandered to, or so expecting someone to have the tone deaf "hello, fellow children" kind of approach to it. So it's all like, I will not touch Ready Player One with a 10-foot pole.
Hey, that's a good instinct. You should follow that
for a lot of reasons. Yeah, but mostly because it's like this feels like it is too much for me, and I will only be able to judge it. But Mythic Quest has thus far been able to disarm that fairly well.
Nice.
We'll see if that holds.
Cool.
And that's me. Not a ton of games, but certainly a ton of time on the games that I have played.
Yeah. Cool. So I've got a handful on mine. It has been several weeks. A lot of these have been streamed. My personal play has mostly been, or I guess my non-stream play has been for shows. But I've got some cool stuff. Some new stuff here. So for Hexcrank, I streamed Mundaun. Mundaun. This is an interesting game. If you've seen screenshots of this, you will recognize it as the first-person horror game where everything has this hand-drawn and pencil kind of look. Where everything is kind of monochrome, and all of the textures are done in pencil to give everything this just real uncanny kind of like queasy, incomplete kind of look to it. I've not played or seen anything that looks really a lot like it. The premise is that you are somebody who received word that your grandpa has died. This takes place like in, let's say, like mid-century, like the mid-20th century, and you're returning to where your grandpa lived and where you grew up, which is up in the Swiss Alps. Mundaun is kind of the name of this town, and everybody speaks like the dialect that is spoken there. It is all done entirely in subtitles if you're an English speaker. And you very quickly realize that the circumstances of your grandfather's death are bizarre.
Greatly exaggerated.
Yes. That there is a painter whose paintings seem to be affecting reality. There is a mute girl who does nothing but stare at you whenever she's nearby. And there is an old man who may or may not be the devil. Who is making bargains and such.
It sounds Lynchian.
Yeah,
This is recalling Bendy and the Ink Machine.
I mean, the visual style. Yeah, this is a much better game than that, I think, because it is kind of not meant to be a streamer screamer kind of kind of thing. Not much in the way of jump scares in this one. Like there is combat and stealth and stuff to this as you make your way. Like in the first half of the game, you're mostly dealing with these cool like folklore monsters that look like people who are either made out of or covered in straw. And they attack if they have line of sight on you, and they are aggressive. They like cause like straw to burst out of your character's skin and stuff.
Ooh.
As it goes, and you get slower and less effective at everything you do until I think you are turned into one of them, which is a nice scary concept. This is a short game. It's a modest game. You know, it's kind of like in the same kind of vein as like a number of, you know, similar small team first person indie horror kind of things. So, you know, like 6 hours or so of that is a thing that you know, makes you worry. But like, I don't know. It's interesting to play games that are from, you know, different locations, that are from outside of the America, Japan, you know, that kind of tends to be where most of the stuff we get is from. And it's interesting to see something, you know, that is, you know, not just made in Switzerland, but is like, you know, set there and, you know, in a culture and with the language and the folklore and stuff like that, you know, dealing with the after effects of World War One, things like that. It's neat. Mundaun. I would recommend people check it out.
Yeah, I think feeling really situated in a distinct place and time, like you're describing, is so important to effective horror.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it lends credibility to the idea like everything here has import. There's like, you know, I believe that there's more going on here than I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially, you know, this gets into folk horror kind of stuff, and, you know, this is you're very particularly trapped up here, you know, not just by the forces that are active there, but like this is isolated and out of the way. And it's, you know, kind of like Ben said, where it's like, okay, this feels Lynchian. How much of this is the inherent weirdness of small communities, and how much of this is a malign influence that is happening because of, you know, some forces that are at play.
Nice.
Like the possible devil.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly old Scratch. Did you do any other questions about Mundaun?
No, it looks cool.
Okay. The other thing, I'm not going to talk about Craven Manor because that was a one night stream. That was neat, but you know, we still have Jala to get to, and I don't want to take up too much time. A big one that I streamed twice. So what I'm doing, I stopped doing the once a week, like Wednesday night Souls games streams that I was doing. I just kind of hit, you know, it felt like it was time to stop those. So I'm playing around with different times to stream during the day, during the week. So last week I decided, well, I love playing, you know, simulator kind of games. So why don't I put my money where my mouth is? People remember that I talked about PowerWash Simulator. Let's saddle up in that bad boy and let's get spraying.
Oh, snap. How are you doing the podcast right now and not just playing PowerWash Simulator?
So I put it in one of the go live tweets that I did for it. You know, come watch me spray stuff in Power Simulator. It's not boring, it's relaxing. Just very insistently. No, it's a boring ass game, but sometimes that's what you want. And one person's relaxing is definitely another person's boring.
It's vicariously relaxing.
That's good. Well, you tuned in like it was like first thing during the day when you tuned in for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So side note, I will put your podcast on at work in the background, but I'm not logged into Twitch on work, so I cannot chat. I cannot communicate with you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just a ghost in chat.
But yeah, so the idea of PowerWash Simulator, it's, you know, similar to any number of these games, kind of most akin to House Flipper. You're just somebody who has a power washer in a dream, and that dream is to accept money in exchange for taking people's dirty things and making them clean again. If
This
you're
leaves
on,
a lot of room for expansions.
if you've never, I mean, like real life power washers are incredibly satisfying to use. They're basically magic. They're just boxes
The
that are
pushback on your hand, like that haptic feedback when
Mhm.
you turn it on.
Yeah.
I can't imagine playing
the
without that.
the recoil of that thing just like pushing back. Yeah, it's I mean, power tools in general are good. I don't, that is not something I'm comfortable letting Tim Allen have. Like power tools are good. Those, they don't belong entirely to you, Tim. I don't think so, Tim. uh but
You're waiting for me to make the noise, and I'm not going to make the
no.
noise.
Don't do it.
But no. So you accept jobs. I've done a handful of them. Like the first one is like you got a van real cheap for your business, and you have to use the power washer in your garage to like blow it clean. And you can select different nozzles that have like either wider angles at lower pressures or tighter angles at higher pressures. The dirt is modeled like some of it's on there real loose, some of it's real tough. Like individual like surfaces are going to have different properties. Like they're made of different materials. There's plastic, there's metal, there's like multi-purpose rubber, there's wood, all that kind of stuff, and all of that is kind of simulated. But like really what this is it's kind of just like, okay, I'm going to trace every square inch of surface on this 3D model, and I'm going to hear the spray sound, and I'm going to press the little button, detective vision or dirtective vision, as somebody, I think it was Dr. Boa in the chat, called it dirtective vision. And see like, oh, there's a little bit that I missed here highlighted. But like I did the van, I did like a dirt bike that was covered in a bunch of mud. I did like a big backyard that literally looked like it had a volcano went off nearby. And I looked, and there was a volcano in the distance, like on the horizon. I was like, is that actually what happens? And then I also power cleaned a playground where some kids apparently were very, very sick with skin secretions. Yeah. Took each of the like bigger jobs. The backyard and the playground took longer than I expected it to. The streams ended up being longer, but like it is really satisfying to like, as you are going around, when you finish up like one particular section, so like a window, or a wall or something like that, when you finish, you'll get like a ting, basically like a slot machine payout kind of deal. And then you move on to the next one. Until you're done. And you can take your money and reinvest it in like better power washers, better nozzles. You can buy soap and there's like different kinds of soap for different surfaces. I understand I sound like a crazy person describing this as a video game. But it's like neat and compulsive, and I don't know, it ends up being a little oh man, there's a mobile game that I played. Jala, you may remember this. Did you ever play Zen Bound?
No, I did not.
Okay. This was like an early iOS game that was kind of meant to be a relaxing contemplative game where it gave you a 3D model. And at the end of the 3D model, there was a like a pin, and there was some string or a rope that came off of it. And what you did was, by swiping and moving on the screen, you had to twist and rotate the 3D object to make it so that the string, and when it touched the surface, it would like color a certain area around it. So you had to twist it in such a way that the entire surface was changed by wrapping it up. It's actually really similar to that weird little contemplative mobile game that I played 11 years ago on my iPod Touch. Where it is about like just really focusing on a single object, and
deep callback.
Yeah. People who have played that will know what it is. It was like back in the early days of iOS, there was like 4 games to play. Yeah. Any questions about Power Wash Simulator?
Like, are you like done with it after the few levels that you played, or?
So it's an early access. it might be something where I want to let it sit for a while and see what the updates look like. Kind of like I did with oh man, House Flipper would be another one. The reason why I stopped was just because I just wanted to stream other stuff. Like part of this is also the daytime streams is to stream a wider variety of things too. So I was like, yeah, I feel like people who watch this kind of get it, and I get it too. So I'll leave this be. I may pick it up and try it, but it might just be a wait for early access kind of deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how long until someone has a mod that turns all of the dirt into blood.
Well, that kind of leads to another thing that Kole was playing.
I did, yeah. So I did that on Monday and Wednesday, and then I wanted to stream a little bit on Friday. And I was like, okay, well let's keep the theme going, and let's do Viscera cleanup detail. And game came out a while ago, and there's no heat on it right now. I didn't have a good time with that, and it's funny because like on one hand it feels like both of those games are designed to be tedious. Like I think Viscera cleanup detail is kind of intended to be a joke. Like there are physics sim elements to it. Just I was bumbling.
Feels cynical.
I don't even know, like cynical, but it's just like, have fun with this unfun thing, and you can stream it or like play multiplayer with your friends and laugh around because like, oh, you tripped over the bucket and got blood everywhere. Oh no, I tripped over the bucket and got blood everywhere. There's cool, fun little like moments and stories about it. It was nowhere near like the contemplative, I want to get in here and, clean this thing from top to bottom. It was like I loaded into it, and even on the smaller map, I just felt completely overwhelmed.
It was very fun watching you play, though, and watching and like hearing you get frustrated because I was at work and I couldn't really type either because I was like trying to work. But in the background, there's Kole, like frustrated as hell because like, he has to clean his mop every 2 swipes or something. He's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the bodies. How am I supposed to take the bodies?
I had a nickel for every time I heard Kole say that.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how often it comes up. Yeah. So it was fun to do for a couple of hours, but like, it's one of those things where like an immediate contrast, it definitely like helps you figure out why you like one and not the other, right? And I was like, oh yeah, like these are designed to engender 2 different things, right? Like this is these might seem superficially similar because they're both about cleaning things, but they're just really different experiences with different kind of intentions behind them.
Yes.
And the last one I streamed a little bit. This is another early access, but I was pretty impressed by what I saw. This is a more recent one. It's called Medieval Dynasty. Have any of you heard of this?
I just saw you play it.
Yeah. So Medieval Dynasty, what you are is somebody kind of in Central Europe. It's medieval, obviously, and you're fleeing war, like your entire family is wiped out, and you know that you have an uncle who has, prospered in the mountains to the north. So you go there, find out your uncle is dead, but he was a good guy, and the mayor, the Castellan is, will like give you some land or let you use whatever land you can get. And this is like the base level that I have seen and played right now is like a basic first person survival kind of game. A version of these that I haven't, really played in a while, like since I messed around with The Long Dark or, something like even like Minecraft on survival mode. But just been a long time since I did this. People in the chat were comparing it to like Rust, comparing it to The Forest, which is a game that David had played. But like, you get quests that are like walking you through. It's like, all right, well, you gotta go, go and take this hammer and get the things that you need to make an axe and cut down some trees. And when you cut down some trees, you'll get sticks as well and collect some reeds by the river, and you can start building a house. And you have a hunger meter and a thirst meter. better keep tabs on those. It's getting dark and you've got to hunt. All that kind of stuff. The thing that makes me like both really excited about this, but also like makes me want to back off of it until they develop a little bit more. Because who knows when you're going to hit a ceiling or when stuff is going to be refactored and all of your work is going to go away, is that once you get beyond like the survival and subsistence level, and you do quests and you extend your influence, you can start like hiring workers to do stuff for you and like set out like fields where you do crops and, you know, build little production buildings to like make like beer and manage your workers to, you know, help build your empire for you and with you as you extend out. Like you are basically rising from nothing to like a local lord is kind of the promise of this based on the interface. And
this is single player, right?
Yes. Yeah, this is single player, and that's another thing that makes this attractive to me.
Yes.
Is that nobody
they fix the flaw in Rust?
yeah. Which is I don't want anybody else to mess up the thing that I'm building. You know, I don't want to deal with that chaos. Yeah, it's so I played like I played for about an hour because I just basically just like ran out of time. But it's real neat. It's pretty, but it runs not so great on my machine. I have no idea if that's like an optimization thing. I'm very like interested because I like a survival game and I like a management game, and this seems to be like a nice little mixture of the two. If I have any reservations, I'm probably not gonna play this again on stream anyway. If I have any reservations, it's just that as it is in active development, I don't want the ground to shift under me. I would like to know the rules that I'm working with as I,
play a complete product from start to finish.
Yeah. Or you know, play a product that they can say like, yeah, we're actually like we feel pretty good that this is close to what we intend it to be. Like we're not like still figuring out basic stuff about this game or what we want it to be, right?
What was the name of the game again?
Medieval Dynasty. Yeah. Any other questions about Medieval Dynasty? All right.
Not on my end.
Jala, how about you?
Well, the first thing I have to talk about is that a very, very sweet listener named Steven sent me a flash drive loaded up with a ton of old fighting games, including my absolute favorite, Capcom versus SNK 2.
Ooh.
I've had it for a bit over a month at this point, but due to all the kind of chaos and stuff going on at home, I only just got to it in the past couple of weeks. But I've been playing a bunch of old fighting games since then, just kind of trying to recall old muscle memories. But then also it's like, say, for example, on Capcom vs. SNK 2, I played that on Dreamcast, and trying to play it with an Xbox 360 controller is a little bit different. So
Right.
Trying to get back into the swing of things a little bit here and there around other stuff that I am playing. I don't have much more to say about that other than a thank you to Stephen for sending that to me. I have been enjoying it thoroughly. I will continue to do so because Capcom vs. SNK 2 is one of my all-time favorite games. So,
nice.
Yeah.
SNK, they did Samurai's Showdown?
Yes.
Okay,
and Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, etc.
Yeah.
So, so other games that I've been playing. I played Resident Evil Village, and we talked about that, me and Kole and also Dave, on Monster Dear Monster podcast a few weeks ago at this point. But we were only talking about narrative there. So I will talk more about kind of gameplay stuff. No spoilers, just gameplay stuff here. So I finished a first playthrough, and I have mixed feelings about that narrative. If you want to hear me talk about that, you can listen to that podcast, Monster Dear Monster. But some things I can say about it that are not spoilery are that Capcom intended this game to feel like a theme park, and they succeeded. It feels like a theme park when you are playing. They also wanted it to feel like a horror movie that you are playing, and this was true. more so at the beginning, but was done reasonably well, I think, to that end as well. And some of the monster designs are really neat, but others are kind of just disappointing, run of the mill, like lichens, the werewolves. Okay, those aren't really all that interesting. Other monster designs that, especially those that are based on Eastern European folklore and things, those are more interesting to me.
Yeah. The ones you see those real early on. You've probably seen them in coverage of like the castle and stuff. Like the version of like zombies that you get here, which are like ghouls, are they behave real neat, and they get more they get more capable as you go on.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different types of, like, the flying enemies are based on some kind of Eastern mythological creature and whatever. Like, there's a bunch of different types of vampiric monsters, themed around that castle that are interesting and cool. So, of course, there are cool monsters in other areas of the game as well. It's not just all focused there, but, that's just where the folkloric ones are for the most part. Anyway, the things that I disliked about Resident Evil 7's presentation, at least the last time that I played through it, persist in this game. I do not like any of the main characters or the villains. I don't really like any of them. So many of the characters are caricatures that they feel flat because like they don't spend very much time fleshing out a lot of the villain characters. So I feel like there wasn't enough time spent with them to really see more of them than this like over the top kind of first presented thing, like when you first get into the game. And the game starts out again with that kind of heavy emphasis on gore and shock horror that I didn't like about the beginning of 7, but they do knock it off for the most part. After, I don't know what, the first quarter of the game, and then the rest of it is more tolerable after that. And I think that's true of 7 as well, but I just I don't know, I just fell off of 7 for some reason. So I am interested in going back to 7 and trying it again now that I have completely finished 8 and been pretty much fine with it and like played it consistently, even with the stuff I didn't like about it. So I think perhaps my tolerances have changed and that might shift my perspective going back into 7 at this juncture. But I still don't really like Ethan or Mia or like anybody in the game. So like that's a problem, because if I don't like any characters in the game, unless I find it really, really fun for one or another reason, like it has to really grip me with gameplay if I don't like the characters. Otherwise I'm not going to be on board for playing it. So we will see what happens whenever I get to that. That's not going to be right away though, because Dave is in the middle of playing the rest of Resident Evil 4 right now, because he's never played it until he started playing it after he watched /played some of 8. And so he was going through that. I'm still watching him play that, and of course Kole and I recently streamed Resident Evil 5. I've also been watching, I watched Infinite Darkness, the Netflix show, and then we went back through and a group of friends and I are watching all of the Resident Evil CG movies. So I'm going to be Resident Evil'd out for a little bit, and I will need to move on for a temporary amount of time.
How was that the Infinite Darkness? What did you think of that?
It was okay. It kind of continues the whole thing that they were doing with all the other CG movies, where it's Leon, who acts a little bit different in each one of the incarnations. Like he's really kind of a different character every time he shows up. And that's now kind of a running joke in the group of people that I chit chat about these things and watch them with. So, but anyway, Infinite Darkness is, better in some ways, because at least at the very beginning they're trying to get some stuff about the tactics that are used in military kind of situations. They're trying to get that at least more closer to real life stuff. And the quote unquote villain guy in here, has motivations and stuff that you can understand and appreciate. And I definitely was not on board with Leon and what Leon's ultimate decisions were in the show. So,
Yeah.
but it's basically one of the CG movies cut up into 4 pieces is what it was. So,
Yeah.
But so going back to Village, though, it continues the first-person view of 7. It has the same 7 engine, but the movement, I don't know if this is really true of 7 because I don't remember. It's been too long since I played it, but the movement feels kind of floaty. That is, it doesn't really feel like Ethan is actually walking or running anywhere. He just kind of glides around. Although, like enemies, you can definitely have a sensation of they have weight, you know, and mass and everything. They feel solid and feel like they have mass, but Ethan does not. I guess maybe that's because, well, I guess I
Is he a vampire?
No, I can't talk about that. But anyway,
Right,
there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Anyway, but yeah, your movement overall seems a lot faster and more seamless even than 6. But that was kind of a little bit weird for me because, like, you know, for a survival horror game, that's really kind of actiony, you know, super action focused, you know, like even more so than the other action titles. So that was kind of odd. It also incorporates a block move that is absolute magic. Somehow, if Ethan throws his hands in front of his face, he's almost impervious to anything, including bosses. Like, you can block a boss, and enemies will usually stagger back, leaving you room for a quick shot right afterwards and stuff. But yeah, you can block bosses fighting, you know.
They're just surprised. They don't expect you to. They're shot at your chutzpah.
I mean,
everyone
that is the
was
strongest
shocked.
human instinct for a reason to throw up your hands in fear because it makes you invincible.
Well, he doesn't even have a. Okay, I can't talk about that either. Although I guess everybody knows that he loses parts of his hands at all times. So like he doesn't even have full hands. So
figures, what have I got left to lose? Some shitty fingers that are left?
Right.
Come on.
Right.
It's homeopathy for self-defense.
The block is returning from 7. It feels more it feels both more necessary here because the combat is tougher, but also goofier because you're going up against threats that are more than just the shambling ink Gumbies, you know?
See, like I'd only played through like what was it? One of the boss fights with Jack where you're in like the little arena and he has like a chainsaw or something. Like after that I just like stopped playing. I don't know. I just fell off of it. But anyway, so yeah, there's some physics-based puzzles, but as per the franchise as a whole, any puzzle is pretty much a no-brainer. The cool thing though is that the game does encourage exploration, which is great because I love to explore. So like you get extra information about stuff or you get extra goodies to sell or whatever, you know, by just wandering around and taking a look at everything, and going back through areas and coming through. But it does reserve the vast majority of the story for the very end of the game. So like if you want any kind of, you know, what's actually going on, like you're not going to know until the very end of the game. All of the villains other than Mother Miranda are, as I mentioned, kind of unfortunately flat because there's just not that much information dealing with like what's going on with them. Some more than others. Some have more character and more, I guess, energy and time put into their reasonings and stuff. Like Moreau, for example, the merman / hunchback guy. He definitely, you know, very clearly what his place is in everything and what's going on with him. And all of that, but like you don't really get as much for Lady Dimitrescu, much as everybody, you know, went insane for her. She doesn't really have that much character by comparison. And then Heisenberg feels like he was cut pretty short too. Like there were some possibilities opening up where it might have been really interesting to follow like another path, and then like the game doesn't give you the option to follow said path, so you know then any potential interesting extra stuff that you might learn about Heisenberg just kind of goes down the drain. unfortunately. And then Beneviento, the doll lady, she's just in such a short portion of the game, and she doesn't really interact with you directly. So, like, you don't really get too much about her either. So, I know that the first DLC is supposed to be about Chris and his team or whatnot, but I'm hoping that there's going to be some additional DLC that delves into the Four Lords a little bit more, because that would feel a little bit better to me. I wanted to know more than what I had from what the game was giving me.
Right.
I do definitely look forward to the DLC, because I want to know what in the world Chris and his team were doing when everything was going nuts. And, Chris just every once in a while appears and says, "Ethan, no," and then goes away. Like, I don't know. Like, I want to know what he was actually doing. So. But any questions about Resident Evil 8? That's literally all I'm going to say about it, because, don't want to spoil stuff for people.
I have one question for you and Kole both. Do you think the developers just looked at the number 8 in Roman numerals and were like, what title can we make out of this? Village.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I think that maybe it was an accident when they did Biohazard and they realized, it can work both ways with, we can find a 7 in there. So they're like, let's roll the dice on it again. No idea. And I apologize for answering your joke question with a serious response.
I wanted an answer. This is no joke.
I did not see anything in my various research for the 2 shows that I was talking about this game on that indicated one way or the other how they came up with that. So I do not have an answer.
Speculation on an IX named Resident Evil for the next entry?
I don't know.
Ooh.
I hope it's Resident Evil 6 and they just spell it out.
Just make it more confusing. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so moving right along. The next game that I played was Vampire the Masquerade Shadows of New York. I talked about Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York before. This one, Shadows of New York.
I was confused,
is the sequel to the last one that I talked about, and it was released last fall. So it takes place a few months after the first game ends. This is a visual novel type adventure game thing, based on Vampire the Masquerade tabletop RPG setting. So you were an investigative reporter in this game whose career was torn down at the start of the game. This was a test by your La Sombra sire, La Sombra being the clan, who wanted to see if you broke or if you would be a good candidate for Embrace.
Okay.
And of course you are a good candidate for Embrace. And so you are dumped. Yeah, exactly. The end. Yeah, that is my canon ending. Didn't that happen when I was playing, what was it, Zero Escape, Zero Time Dilemma or something? Didn't I get like the...
You have to do that. You go through that with Zero Time Dilemma at the start, no matter what you choose. And then it rewinds you. You get the... everybody's free, but you know nothing. Well, I guess we all just go back to our lives.
Yeah. Well, see, like that I joked the moment I got like the first ending within 5 minutes of playing that was my canon ending. So yeah, like here, this would be my canon ending. Like I was not a good candidate for Embrace, the end. Anyway, so you play La Sombra. You were an investigative reporter. You are now dumped into a position as the representative of the La Sombra to the Camarilla, which is like a grouping of a bunch of different vampire clans in New York. The Camarilla hates the La Sombra, who were against them for a very long time, but they recently decided to court the group for entry into the larger conglomerate. And Baron Callahan of the Anarchs, which was an anti-Camarilla group of vampires, was murdered, and you are assigned the task of playing detective and figuring out who killed him and why. He was absolutely detestable and horrible and, not a good man at all.
Yeah.
Of course, he's a vampire too, but so of course he's not a good guy. He's a vampire, but
more so than
also
usual.
Terrible. Yeah, more so extra terrible. Yeah. It is vampirist. So, but this game, like, nobody's good in this game. Not one. So, anyway, many of the characters from the first game do make appearances in this game, including some of the vampires that you were trying to get into your coterie in the first game. So, this one is a lot shorter than the first game because you can only play one character instead of, like, the first game, you had 3 options to run through the game with.
Okay.
And you only have 1 week to solve the murder case, after which time the game rolls credits. So that's all the time you have. You don't get to make any decisions at the very end. So your choices mostly involve how things get from point A to point B and influence what kind of character traits you have, depending on what you do at certain key moments of the gameplay. But again, those traits don't really seem to amount to anything, as you don't get to roleplay an ending. That's on autopilot. So, the first game I replayed 3 times, and this game I did not replay once because I felt I had not seen every single thing in the game, but I saw enough of it, and enough of it was on rails that it was just like, okay, that was my experience with the game. Cool. The ending made sense for your character, but does not feel like anything I would have elected to do personally. So the lack of agency rubbed me kind of wrong.
Yeah.
If I ever got even if I got like a bad ending because I decided to do something, against what they wanted me to do, I would have preferred a choice to play it out multiple ways, So, but the writing is still strong. So even though it was a short game that doesn't have a lot of options other than just how things play out to get to, the end result, I still enjoyed it. It had consistent writing quality to the first one. I still recommend it, but definitely bear in mind that you are 100% on rails and there's not going to be replay value on this one, like there was with Coterie.
I mean, that's a huge bummer because, like, that, not just that replay, but just the broader, mechanical hooks of the first one sounded like kind of the selling point.
And it kind of felt like this one, even though it was a sequel to the first game, it kind of felt like this kind of just should have been I know it's too small of a game to have a DLC, but like it kind of felt like that, where it's like this was a very meaty DLC, but it wasn't quite another game, is how it felt to me.
It's like Mario Bowser's Fury.
Well, I mean, like, I enjoyed the extra time with some of the characters from the first game, and seeing what happened to them after, how things shook out in the first game. But, it was just unfortunate because even the time that those characters were with you in the second game was pretty abbreviated. So it was like touching on them and being like, oh, hey, what's up? We're still here. Okay, bye. Oh, well, that's not that great,
That sounds really unsatisfying.
Yeah. I mean, like, overall, I still enjoyed it, but basically you have to think about it in terms of it is a DLC. It is not another game.
Yeah.
It's not another full game. This is just an alternate story, something that happened afterwards. So,
yeah.
But any questions about Vampire the Masquerade, Shadows of New York?
No.
Okay.
Are there any more of the games like this that are White Wolf kind of interactive fiction, or have you done all of them? Because did the werewolf one, right?
There is one on Steam that is like a Vampire the Masquerade text venture one where you play some kind of a vampire courier guy.
Okay.
Or Uber, I don't even know, like Uber driver, courier, I don't know. And then I did not pick that one up or look at it because I like to play narrative stuff on the little handheld thing laying in my bed, So
yeah.
But there is also a werewolf, mostly text venture game, but you do have a character sheet for that one.
Yeah.
And I actually have that one on my Switch loaded, but I don't want to play it right now because I just finished the other 2. So I will take a break before I play that one, but that is on my docket of games to play in the future, a text venture kind of werewolf one
Yeah.
in the same world, set in the same world of darkness. Werewolf is just another one of the different versions you can play.
Yeah.
Like there's the Wraith, Werewolf, Vampire, blah, blah, blah.
Mage, Ghost, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, another game that I've been playing recently is Alwa's Awakening. And this one is an 8-bit 80s style Metroidvania platformer developed and published by Elden Games in 2017 for basically every system that was out at the time.
Okay.
And it has really, really cute graphics and a catchy soundtrack. You play as a girl named Zoe from some world that was not Alwa. You were pulled into Alwa, which is the name of the world, in order to save it from the evil vicar and his underlings. And, you know, this is like set in the super, you know, NES style simplified story. Like, don't expect deep things happening here,
Yeah.
you know. Your weapon is a magic rod, but you don't start with magic. And in fact, you only get an offensive spell in the last third of the game. So instead, for the rest of the game, you're whacking monsters with it. So it's kind of like, to nerd out and be like an anime nerd that none of you are going to understand. It's like Louis the Rune Soldier, which is an old anime, where he is basically a big, bulky, brawny guy, Louis that is, and he is like the foster son of the head of the magic guild, and so he ends up becoming a magician, but like he's really a brawler who gets drunk and stuff.
Okay.
And so like he has a magic wand and he ends up breaking it on somebody's head when he was fighting them. So
You know, I would appreciate that you don't think I'd get that reference.
you
I
know that?
I totally did not get that reference.
Okay. So like I was saying, anyway, so in either case, later on you get the ability to make a block, and then you can make a bubble, and then later you get to fire a lightning bolt. So like each of these different things allows you different movement set or whatever to unlock different areas of the game or access different areas depending upon where everything is. And sometimes you have to use some of these in, you know, quick succession. Like you have to make a block and then use a bubble that floats up and jump on it like Bubble Bobble, you know, and like you have to use both at the same time in order to get through a certain area or whatever. You have a super floaty jump, and some of the platforming requires you to either max that jump out or use one of your magical abilities, like I said, like the block or the bubble or both of them to extend the jump, or really, really barely tap the button to do a short, small jump so you don't hit your head on instant death spikes on the ceiling or something.
Okay.
This description is giving me Trine vibes.
No, it's not puzzly the way that Trine is, and there's a lot more action in it and a lot more platforming in it than Trine. But there are all the usual things. There's spikes, instant death spikes, water you can't traverse, hidden passages in walls. And in one case, there was a hidden passage through a floor of spikes, and that just made me like question my reality. I'm like, nothing is real anymore. Nothing. Like that's how you had to get a special power up, was you had to like jump through some spikes. And
How did you find it? Like a fac or accident?
Accident. I don't remember exactly how I did, but I have been uploading some videos on Twitter of it, so I'll have to find some of those in a little bit and show them to you. But you collect little blue orbs, which make your magic wand and spells stronger against enemies. And the 3 bosses that I have fought so far aren't super hard. Basically, you just kind of need to dodge around some, but then you can kind of tank hits and run up and just beat them to death with your wand most of the time. So, like, I only have one more boss to fight, and then I'm done with the game. So I'm pretty close to the end, but not quite there. The real challenges in this game are really in the platforming and the puzzles. Most of which require manipulation of multiple magics combined with platforming, and or there are like block pushing puzzles or stuff like that you have to solve in order to get keys. You know, you have to find ways to get, different items. It's a roughly 10-hour long game. And so like, I'm just in the last quarter of it at this point. There's also a sequel, Alwa's Legacy, which I picked up and added to my backlog for whenever I finish this one, and I'm ready to take on more Metroidvania type platforming. But it's very fun. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. And yeah.
I mean,
questions about
this looks and sounds really good. I am surprised that I've not heard about this before. I mean, I'd seen you tweeting screenshots and stuff, but not actually, and I never learned about it before that.
Yeah, like this is actually a really fun game. I got it on a sale, and it was not like I doubt it was very expensive because I don't ever buy random ass games I'd never heard of for super expensive amounts of money,
Like the base price on Switch is like $10 and the Steam version is $4. So
yeah. So it's kind of whatever, but like it's a really fun little game. And I've been enjoying the heck out of it, and the music is catchy, so it gets stuck in my head. So whenever I am not playing it, but I have recently been playing it, I'm just like, oh well, I now have that, and I'm humming that theme. And if I'm not humming it, Dave's humming it because he's heard me recently playing it, because I put the sound on all the time because I like it. So
yeah.
So any questions about Alwa's Awakening?
No. What percent of the way through the game do you think you are?
I'm just got like the last boss guy, like the last area / last boss guy to fight. I've beaten 3 out of 4, so 75% ish.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you laid it out really well. Did you make it sound real neat? I wish I had time to play it.
It is. Yeah, it's a real neat, cute game. It definitely hits like that sweet spot of feeling nostalgic because it's kind of like the 8-bit games, but also being like a modern take on those types of games, and not necessarily as opaque as some of them were, to try to sort out what you're supposed to be doing and so on. So yeah.
Neat.
Cool.
Awesome. Did you have anything else?
I also have been playing something else, but we can talk about it another time. We have been going.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Yeah.
I would like to sleep.
2-week backlog.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, well, let's proceed.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, what is the question that you and Ruki asked the nice people?
Well, Ruki asked, and then I asked as a result. Double jumps are one of the most common upgrades in video games, but not all double jumps are created equal. What's your favorite double jump and why?
Yeah. And I will get us started here with Gwen, who says the Scout in Team Fortress 2. Nothing is special about the jump itself. It's the jump, as that the jump is a tactical advantage that the Scout gets that the other classes don't, increasing their survivability and potential for destruction. It's real fun to zip around as the Scout. Yeah. It's a little bit of a concentration or a consolation prize for the fact that they took away the ability to do concussion jumps from Team Fortress Classic, but I will take it because it is a huge, just taking their little scatter gun and doing your double jumps and zipping around is a good time. Yeah, Scout's fun. Let's see here, Ben, what does Alex say?
Alex K says, I feel like Downwell has to win some kind of award for being a game about double jump mechanics without actually having a double jump in it. Clona is kind of the same way in that you can jump again if you can grab an enemy midair, but it's not something you can actually do. Bayonetta has a good double jump because you can grow wings when you do it. But the most satisfying one to me is the Doom 2016 one. The whole game is Mechboy on rocket skates.
Yeah, the Doom 2016 one is good. And that's that's an upgrade that you get as well. For similar reasons to the Scout. You end up being way more mobile than anything you go up against. Yeah. Let's see, Dennis, what does Alex say?
Alex says, recent release Cruelty Squad has a double jump called the Gunk Boosters. Oh no. That modifies your feet to shoot a jet of biogoop that they specifically say is horrible for whoever has to clean it up. It's purely like there's no mechanical impact. It's just a lore reason why your double jump is the worst.
I really I need to fire up Cruelty Squad. I've heard nothing but good things and seen nothing but amazing screenshots and dialogue.
This is the first time I've seen that name.
Yeah, it's like I mean, it is consciously retro, like lo-fi, but it's like like a. If I say nihilistic, you're going to get the wrong impression. It is a very absurd Deus Ex-like game, is my understanding of it. Yeah, like an immersive sim kind of deal. Yeah, Jala, what does Callum say?
Callum says, I'm a fan of Air Hike and Devil May Cry. The visual is cool with summoning a glyph kickoff, and it can flow really well with combat.
Yeah. Agreed.
Guys, I have to go back one. I looked up a picture of the Gunk Boosters. And it is specifically built into your foot. Like, oh, the level of grossness just went up exponentially.
Sorry.
You gotta really commit to the Gunk Booster.
Yeah, the gunk came from my body. Yeah. Let's see here. Greg writes, double jumps in Metroid games are among my most used, because by the time you get to unlock it, you need them in order to advance the game or to find hidden items. The most fun one to do, though, is the one in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. When playing, once I have the right item, I'll just double jump everywhere. And that's the thing. Only like 15, maybe 5 to 15% of the double jumps I do in a game once I get one are necessary. The rest of it is just compulsive button tapping on the way between places.
How do you feel about doing the double jump when a single jump would definitely suffice?
I mean, it is necessary.
Okay, we're on the same page there.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. That was me. Ben, what does Nicholas say?
Nicholas says, my favorite double jumps are the ones that aren't even actual double jumps, but can be smartly used to accomplish a similar effect. Wall jumping in Metroid or nail bouncing in Hollow Knight come to mind, but I'll give the spotlight to the charge shot from my Kano class. An additional dealing extra damage compared to a regular shot, it gives you a burst of momentum in any direction if fired while airborne. This means you can get some additional vertical air for a high jump, additional lateral air for a far jump, or instant speed boost beyond your normal running speed by firing it and instantly turning around as you land. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. So, Dennis, what does round us out? What does Ruki say?
Yeah, Ruki. And again, thank you for the question, Ruki. They say, my all-time favorite double jump is the one in Control. 1, it makes sense in the fiction. You're basically using your telekinesis on the ground. 2, the animation is beautiful, with Jessie sending an initial push downward, followed by a bunch of tiny adjustments to her hands to keep her balance in the air. And 3, most importantly, it just feels amazing to use.
Yeah.
Why walk down the hall when you can fly through it? Time to shoot some fools? Don't cower behind a box like a chump. Rain down lead from the ceiling like a boss. Once I unlocked it, I spent a good 90% of my remaining playtime airborne. Goal to your earlier point.
Yeah. Man, stuff feels good to do in Control. Yeah. Let's see. So for me,
thank God. Otherwise, that name would be very ironic.
It'd be quite a strange choice on their part. For me, like a lot of the examples people pulled are ones that I agree with. So I'm going to go with kind of a more recent one, which is Titanfall 2. I mean, moving around in that game in general feels amazing, because it's a shooter kind of mixed with some Mirror's Edge wall running and sliding and stuff like that. The double jump you get is necessary to get around, especially with like the crazy levels they have you doing. But yeah, it is just especially satisfying to get that extra hike to clear a jump that you really wouldn't be able to make in most other first person shooters. Yeah,
it's a good one.
Ben, how about you?
All right, I got two non-traditional answers. I think Bionic Commando, if you count that as a double jump, is pretty sweet. Also, in Grand Theft Auto 3, if you have the vehicle flying, turning the tank around and shooting that, if that counts as a double jump, even though it's kind of like an infinite jump, then I would put that as an answer.
Okay. Yeah. And Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, Devil May Cry came to mind, specifically because you have to earn it, like it's a skill you gotta buy. And then also because it kind of combos with all the other jumps. So you double jump to a wall jump to an enemy jump, and suddenly you're 3 stories up in the air. A lesser known game that has a really good double jump is Dead Core, which is like the speedrunning focused first person shooter.
Okay.
And that just feels very good, and it should. The entire game is designed around motion, so it makes sense that is good. It's just got a great kind of sound to go with it too.
Yeah.
I think the audio of your double jump matters a lot, which also goes to why Devil May Cry feels good. So those are my 2, and then I was racking my brain. Has there ever been a game that does to double jumps what Gears of War did to reloading? Like that active reload hit it at just the right point, and you get a boost to it.
Nothing specifically comes to mind for me. I think that there are some of them where like you can do like a third jump if you do like a dash, or like it's a different input that has to be like specifically timed to get a little goose on your jump. But I am failing to recall specifically like where I saw that.
Yeah, I'm not thinking of anything exactly like that.
Yeah, Mario's got the triple jump if you do it perfectly, and I could see that being very difficult to implement mechanically, because if the jump is all about trying to get somewhere, and so if you don't get the boost that you're expecting, it's exactly what you're trying to do. But could be interesting.
There's a mechanic in Rocket League where if you land your car on the ball in midair, then you get your second jump again. I don't know if that could be a dark horse answer or not to what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Could be. The closest version I've been able to find. So I don't know if there's an example of it out there.
Jala, how about you?
So I was thinking about it, and first off, the first one that I thought of is not really a double jump, but it acts kind of like a double jump effectively. Princess Peach from Mario 2, her float. It's not a double jump, but it effectively acts like one, because you can get to other places that you would not be able to get to without that float or without Luigi's super high jump. Also, Alucard, Symphony of the Night. I like that one just because it makes the most sense, because he's not jumping on nothing. His cape actually turns into bat wings, which makes sense, like, okay, that's cool. And then when I asked Dave, hey Dave, what do you think my favorite one is? He was just like, Bubble Bobble? Like, I'm like, that's not a double jump. That's not a double jump. You're jumping on a bubble. That's different. But I guess that technically is kind of, it functions the same way. It still functions the same way. It functions like a double jump. So if we're going to count stuff that's sort of kind of like it, then I have a couple of other answers. Otherwise, I guess it has to be Alucard by default, because that's the only actual double jump I pulled.
Yeah. I did a search and I pulled up the TV Trips page for double jump, just because they're made my memory jogged, right? Sometimes it's difficult on the spot. And I looked at it, and at the bottom it says apparently it's theoretically possible to do a double jump on the moon Titan due to its low gravity and thick atmosphere.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Oh, man. There was a. Oh, go ahead.
Although you would probably have to also overcome the thickness of the atmosphere above you as you are doing that. Continue, Dennis. Sorry.
There was a GIF I saw circulating of a baseball player that did as close as a human is going to get on Earth to a double jump to make a catch.
I've seen that. Yeah.
The way they kind of almost recoiled their body and then did a second spring to extend. Looks really cool.
It's like watching a cat in motion, like in slow motion.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you found some like extra elasticity that should not be possible in a living body on this planet. Yeah. Nice. Good question. I love a double jump. Give me all of them. Yeah. Thank you, Rookie, for suggesting that. Thank you, Jala, for posting that. Sorry it took us a while to get around to reading those, but you know, I explained at the beginning.
Life.
We owe you no further apologies.
Cool. Well, if you would like to participate in these, go to facebook.com/The Level Podcast. Watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. And yeah, thank you to everybody who has participated.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are exciting in the world of video games. Jala, what's Sonic up to nowadays?
That's Sonic. Okay, so Trump's new social network, Getter, is basically being flooded by Sonic erotica. Hashtags like Sonic feeds, Sonic is my god, Sonic loves communism, Sonic my love are all popping up on Getter. Of course, Getter operatives can add or remove trending topics at will. So all of that is being censored. Anyway, however, it is still funny that people are popping up in there and putting Sonic erotica everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about trending topics is there are lots of ways that, like, there are lots of words that you can use to describe Sonic tenderly worshiping Knuckles' feet. Okay? I'm just saying, for example.
Like the direction of reality.
Oh, man, the people who are in there making that shithole unusable for those Nazis are doing the Lord's work. I love it.
Yeah.
Well played.
I love it. Yeah, and just very specifically Sonic erotica. Just
You know, I understand that Donald Trump doesn't even actually have an account on it yet.
Oh no, no.
Probably because every time he goes in to make one, he gets distracted masturbating to Sonic furry porn.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody's got their thing, you know. And you know, if it keeps him busy and not making the world actively worse, then good on you, man. I'm happy you found your thing.
I think history has established that Donald Trump's problem is not having enough sexual outlets. So we'll keep searching.
Oh man, I've got one that is real exciting for a lot of people. Although, okay, so listen to this and go back a week in time, and maybe you'll be able to get a hold of one of these. Valve surprise announced a new piece of hardware, the Steam Deck, which is hilarious because it was announced on the same day that Elgato announced their new Stream Decks. Like the little like stream control kind of doodads. They're really neat devices, but it's just funny that a Stream Deck and a Steam Deck kind of competed, and the Steam Deck is a more interesting product, I think, more broadly applicable. It's like a large Nintendo Switch style handheld that promises to be able to run your entire Steam library. It was released at like a base price point of about $400, and it goes up based on the storage that you get. The pre-orders, like the line to get a right to pre-order later, basically it went so hard in the paint that it took Steam servers down or made them chug, which is ridiculous because nothing ever touches Steam servers. But this is like a Switch style handheld. It has two like little has the regular layout of buttons. In addition to that, it has a touch screen and two like little touch pads below the thumbsticks, in addition to not only two triggers on the top, but two triggers at the bottom for each side for your pinky and ring finger as well, for hitting those, with the idea being that between all of that, you would be able to, with a Steam controller, you would be able to approximate the input for any number of these, for any number of the games and what they require. This looks neat. Lots of people are crazy into it. What I would say is for people who are jonesing for a handheld that you can buy because you can't buy this and it's not out till December. Look up the Backbone 1, which is it's like a controller bracket for your phone, and look up using the Steam Link software to stream to your phone. If you want to do portable Steam stuff around your house, I have found that is actually really neat. But this itself seems to be a solution for a lot of folks. Did anybody here look at this? Did anybody here get a pre-order? Is this anything you'd be interested in? Jala, I could see this being a huge thing for you the most.
It would be a huge thing for me, but I just am kind of like, I'm not going to hold my breath that they are going to keep support for it or do whatever. I would like to wait and see what happens with it first. So
buying Valve hardware kind of seems like buying Google hardware.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, because, the Steam controller was such a big deal. I don't even know how many games actually run with a Steam controller.
I mean, technically all of them, which is neat, but also it's not for everybody. I understand every criticism of it. I'm the weirdo for finding it usable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Didn't they start making games this year?
Didn't who start making games?
Didn't Valve say they were going to start making games this year?
They kind of always say that.
Yeah, man, I'll get you that $5 just the next time I got my wallet.
Yeah. Checks in the mail.
I am interested in this, and I would like to everyone to refer to it by its proper name, which is the Vita 2.0.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the rumored name better, the Steam Pal. Steam Deck is so sterile. They should have just called this the Steam Pal. It's a much better name. Also, it's hilarious that the game that they are showing in most of the preview images is Stardew Valley, a game that you can already get on the Switch.
The image I'm looking at has Hades, which I think is a way better showcase.
You can also play that on the Switch.
On Switch.
Yeah. Who knows?
It feels like people, and I am not the market to care about this. So how do people feel about the OLED Steam or a Switch model? Man, I'm already messing them up. The new Switch model that was announced, is that it's felt from what I've watched and kind of seen other people's reactions, like a bit of a wet fart.
Yeah, what people did was they worked themselves up on rumors that the new hardware would be more substantial, and they got mad that Nintendo didn't deliver what they talked themselves into believing was going to be the next thing coming out.
Fair enough. Yeah, it felt like some of the ire towards Nintendo spilled over into excitement for the deck.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. So that's that's mine. Dennis, what's Netflix up to?
Yeah, all kinds of platforms to play games on are coming out now, and not least of which is the upcoming Netflix Games effort. So they kind of hired up a while ago and have brought in some pretty big muscle to actually create a games division, and they were talking about it on their latest earnings report. And I think the thing that stood out the most was them talking about the revenue models that they are pursuing, or rather not pursuing. So, people are already paying for Netflix. And so what they are saying is we're not going to think about other monetization models. We're not going to have ads. We're not going to have in-game purchases. We're not going to worry about, all that stuff. You are giving us money already, and so we are just focusing entirely on putting out great games and developers coming to the platform. We're not twisting their arms to add ads and monetization, etc. They can make great games.
Yeah.
Netflix says that is sitting very well with developers, and of course it does. And assuming that it's not just lip service. I really admire the decision to not stick ads on literally every surface of things that I am already paying for.
Right.
Looking at you, TVs.
God, I hate it so much.
Yeah, and you know, console
I'm
menu
home.
bars and all that stuff.
I always have to turn that off.
It's
No matter
so
how
asinine.
much I turn it off, it keeps coming back.
Don't you want us to give you a customized experience?
Vile.
Yeah, so kudos to Netflix for coming out the gate saying that we are not interested in doing that. That is very astute of them,
Mhm.
taking the temperature of our respective rooms
Mhm.
as comes to gaming. And I'm hopeful that the promise of Stadia may yet be fulfilled through Netflix.
Yeah. It's funny because this sounds like an Apple Arcade competitor, and I do not understand how Apple would allow a different storefront to be, what is basically a different storefront to be put onto its devices.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I never think about people watching Netflix on their phones because I don't have it on my phone.
Right.
But yeah, no, totally.
And just the fact that that they're aiming this at mobile, I can see that heading to a conflict with Apple. Not that Apple would be in the right frequently when it comes to questions about that.
Yeah.
They suck. They're not actually good. They're not good about software and what people can put on their stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That lawsuit thing, like there were all the articles for a week about what was getting said in court, and it was a bunch of just corporate dick measuring and you know, trying to make the other look bad.
Yeah.
I don't think anything meaningful came out of it.
I have no idea. I lost the story after they threw Itch under the bus, saying this is not what you want to happen. You know, where it was like, no, actually, Itch is great, guys. Yeah. Ben, did you have anything?
I didn't. I wanted to end this podcast early.
Okay. Well, let's do it.
On a relative scale.
Oh wait, sorry. It's
not early.
I'm sorry. It's been so long. Is it okay if we button it up? You all feel like buttoning it up?
I feel like button.
Okay.
It's only been 2 weeks, Kole. You're already forgetting about the buttons?
Yeah.
And we've noted your insubordination.
No.
Jala will remember that.
This is true.
The credit.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to level number, looking at the whiteboard, 378. I'm not sorry that we missed those 2 weeks. In fact, I feel good about it. No, we'll try not to have that happen again.
We're really milking the road to 400 here. It's a 40 chess. Now we're actually on course to be on some really significant date.
We're moving back. We're moving backwards on the half. The next episode is going to be 377.5.
Daylight savings level.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I can't think of any like promo stuff to say right now. If you are interested in catching me stream, I do the Friday and Saturday now, and as always, and then also I'm trying out different times during the week. You just go to twitch.tv/Duckfeed.tv and sign up for notifications for when those go live, and you'll get the notifications when I go live. But that's the only like promo stuff other than ratings, reviews, Patreon, telling your friends, all that good stuff. There's no need to prolong this. Yeah, so I've been Kole Ross. You can follow me on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia at Deck of Wonders on Instagram.
You can check out the birthday streaming on twitch.tv/Jalachan.
And I've been Ben Merkel, and you should check out Jala and Kole streams because they're cool.
And stick around for some titles. Okay, who has titles?
I have 3.
Okay.
We're loving it.
Oh God.
Normal oppressive hot.
I also have normal oppressive hot.
And squashed beef.
Okay. I had normal oppressive hot. I also have launched the meme lantern. Just as a to commemorate that kid's chutzpah. Second time I've used that word. I never say that word.
Chutzpah?
Chutzpah.
All right.
Yeah.
On here or another time today?
Oh no, on this episode. I was talking about Ethan blocking people. I said chutzpah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. Dennis, did you have any?
Yeah, I've got two. One similarly from early on, 80,000 Scobles. And then I also had denied my Chivos.
Okay. And Ben,
I do not have anything this week.
how do we feel about normal oppressive hot?
I'm okay with that.
Jala?
I think the meme lantern was funnier.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
can be persuaded on that meme lantern. Does anybody is anybody against meme lantern taking the
Who doesn't like a good meme lantern?
yeah, it was are you okay, Dennis? Dennis, you all
Sorry,
right?
no, my coughing is not in protest. The last little bit of water went down really
Oh.
poorly.
Okay.
No.
Oh, gotta hate it when that happens.
Yeah, so use your political savvy to push through the vote before I can respond.
Well, you're talking. I what I kind of want to do is go away so you can go tend to that.
Yeah, I think I'm good now. No, I have no objections to the meme
Okay,
lanterns.
launch the meme lantern is the is go.
Woo.
Excellent.
Cool. All right, thanks you guys. It really was fun to get back on. I missed it those 2 nights. So
Mm-hmm.
I will talk to you all on Saturday. I imagine Jala can convene 10 to 5 before, and you'll have the channel and stuff. Okay.
I've got it booked.
Are you gonna be on Jolly? Are we going to be on your server when we meet up for the DM? Yeah, that makes
Yes.
sense, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Sweet.
Cool.
Night night.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.